Dear people watching and listening, Assalamu alaikum. Kindly like and share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please support my channel by contributing to my Patreon account so that I can continue making the audiobook series. Start of part 2 of chapter 22. The day following his arrival, as soon as the prayer of the dawn was over, Zuhair arrayed his army for battle. Qusayla did the same. Then both generals ordered the advance. This was not a battle with one side attacking and the other defending. It was a battle with both sides attacking, and two large bodies of men advanced and clashed with each other. It started off as a fierce contest and got fiercer and bloodier as the day wore on. It raged without a break. It went on all day with frightening ferocity, until the soldiers of both sides despaired of life, but they fought on desperately. The field of battle was littered with broken bodies. Those who lived picked their way over human corpses to slog it out with an enemy as tenacious and as fierce. The two commanders would allow no let-up. One was determined to win Africa for Islam and was prepared to die in the attempt. The other was determined to keep his land free of the Muslims or die in the attempt. The generals were with their men in the thickest of the fighting, and it was in the thickest of the fighting that towards the evening Qusayla was killed in combat. With Qusayla fell a large number of officers and leaders of clans, the flower of his army, all faithful to the commander-in-chief till the end. As they fell, word of their death spread in the two armies. The Muslims launched another furious assault, and the Berber army, badly shaken by the death of its leaders, broke into pieces. The infidels turned and fled, making for the hills. The Muslims watched their flight from the blood-soaked battlefield with a prayer of thanks on their lips. The next day Zuhair launched his army in pursuit of the Berbers. Qusayla had wisely chosen his battlefield with the hilly region at his back, so that he could withdraw to safety if necessary. But Qusayla and those who had made the plan were dead, and none was left to organize the stricken army and see to its safe withdrawal. They fled singly and in groups, every man concerned only with saving himself, and as the Muslims came after them, the remnants of a once proud army turned into a panic-stricken horde. The slaughter which occurred in the pursuit was no less terrible than that on the battlefield. Muslim cavalry squadrons fanned out in the countryside and raced westwards to catch up with their fleeing adversaries. The pursuit went on for a long time and over a long distance, until the Muslims had got to the valley of Malwiya in the Maghrib, by the present Melilla. Then there were no Berber warriors left to kill, except those who had sought safety in inaccessible areas and in distant mountain forts, away from the routes of movement. And these were ignored by Zuhair. They numbered thousands, but at the moment they were little better than frightened goats. The Berber power was shattered, its nobles and chiefs slain on the battlefield, its cohesion destroyed. The nation of the Berbers broke up into tribes and clans, the survivors thankful that they lived at all. With this defeat, the Roman power suffered a setback, though it was by no means eliminated. Most of the Romans who fought under Qusayla and survived withdrew to Carthage. One important effect of this Muslim victory was that the Berbers never again placed any great reliance on Roman help against the Muslims, and all those who survived lived in terror of Zuhair and his victorious warriors. Zuhair turned to Caravan and spent some time in dealing with matters of consolidation and organization. He re-established Muslim rule in Africa, reimposed Muslim authority in the land, and restored the local Muslims to their former position as masters of the land. Zuhair knew that his work was done, that the Muslims of Africa had been delivered from Qusayla the accursed, and although Carthage was still in Roman hands, the rest of Africa was back in the Muslim empire. Once again the standard of Islam fluttered in the North African breeze. Once again the Muazzin called the faithful to prayer in the towns of Africa. Once again the law of the Quran and the traditions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ran the administration of the land. Then Zuhair decided to return to Barqa. Mention has been made of the ascetic and pious nature of this noble Muslim. He had come for the holy war, and for the holy war alone. He did not wish to remain as governor of a large and wealthy province, where he would get involved in matters of this world, whereas he was interested in the next. He said, I did not come except for the holy war. I fear that this people will make me return to this world, and I will be destroyed. So, having restored North Africa to Islam, he left a small garrison in Caravan under a deputy and set off with most of his army, rather the survivors of his army, and made for Barqa. He took his time. Had Zuhair known of the perilous situation that awaited him at Barqa, he would have moved faster. Through its agents, the Roman Empire had come to know of the departure of the Muslim garrison from Barqa in a westerly direction, and later heard of Muslim operations against the Berbers. In order to pay off old debts, to settle old scores, and win a few points in their half-century-old conflict with Islam, a conflict in which almost without exception the Muslims had got the better of them. The Romans decided to try for a quick and easy military success against Islam. The empire sent a large body of soldiers in a great many ships to raid Barqa. The fleet landed at Derna on the coast of Libya and the troops made for Barqa. Since the city was almost entirely undefended, because everybody had gone to fight in Africa, the raid on the city was completely successful. For 40 days the Romans pillaged the town unmercifully, not showing the least compassion. They gathered a large number of Muslims to take away as slaves, and having satisfied their lust for plunder, they marched with their loot and their captives for the coast where their vessels awaited them. They had hardly left when Zuhair arrived at Barqa and heard the tale of woe. Without a moment's rest, he set off with his soldiers for the coast of Darna, 150 miles away. It was only a small part of his victorious army which marched with him, and the men were tired after their long journey. But nevertheless, they made good speed and arrived at Derna to find a large Roman force preparing for a sea voyage. The Muslim captives were being pushed on to the vessels, and these poor fellows also saw the Muslim army arrive upon the scene. They set up a piteous wail and cried for help. The Roman soldiers began to push them even harder into the ships. The situation was such that Zuhair had no time to organize a proper front and make a proper battle plan. If he was to save those Muslims, he would have to act immediately. The Romans, on the other hand, were waiting for Zuhair, arrayed in battle formation with a larger force than he possessed. Zuhair just ordered his regiments into the attack, in order to save the captured Muslims. His men attacked the Romans with more spirit than order. The stronger force not only held its ground but fought a very good battle in which the fortunes of war went against the Muslims. Zuhair was killed and so were many of his best officers. The Romans won the day, and having beaten off the Muslim attack with heavy loss, embarked in their vessels with their captives and sailed away. The martyrs were buried on the shore at a place which became known as Qubur-ush-Shuhada, the graves of the martyrs. The survivors of Zuhair's army traveled to Damascus and narrated before Abdul Malik the sad end of the campaign. The Caliph was deeply distressed, not only by the military setback, but also by the tragic loss of Zuhair, which was no less painful than the loss of uqbabinnafe. There was mourning in the Muslim world. A glorious campaign, having begun on a high note of hope and having gained a great victory over the infidels in Africa, had ended in tragedy. As a result of the success of this Roman raid, And this Muslim defeat, the Muslim power in Caravan collapsed. The Muslims found themselves once again back at square one. End of part 2 of chapter 22.